We have a couple different plans, obviously through spring training, through the beginning of the year, and throughout the year. We're obviously still at the very beginning of the stage, but I think that's, personally for me, that's probably the biggest thing for me going into this year is, not missing a quarter of the year like I did last year, and being able to not only go wire to wire, but try to be better throughout the whole year, and be ready when October rolls around.
Do you believe in this theory that you shouldn't be max out from the beginning of the year, just gradually build up to it?
I think there's a fine line. I mean, you don't. And AC's talked about this too. We're not just going to overlook 162 for the 11 we got to win in October. And the first game of the year counts just the same as the last game of the year, just the same as the one on July 15th counts. So you don't want to overlook or not put attention to what the game right in front of you or the next one in line. But I think there's ways that you can figure some things out and get a system going that will allow me to get through that over the hump and hopefully staying strong throughout the full year and sprinting across the finish line instead of limping through it.
Chris, did you feel the extra month that you got home?
No, because I missed a month. I mean, if you look at it, this is the least amount I've ever pitched in my career. I think I threw like 140, 150 innings, something like that. And even counting the playoffs, I probably only threw, 10 or 15 innings. So as a whole, I actually threw the least amount of innings of my career. So unfortunately that happened, but fortunately, going into this year, hopefully that helps a little bit, kind of catch my breath and, like I said, be able to go out there for 30-plus starts, 200-plus innings, and be there ready when it's crunch time.
Chris, is this one of the biggest challenges of your career, trying to manage yourself differently heading into the season? Because part of your career doing that thing, but
no, last year was by far the hardest year. Obviously, going through the playoffs, winning a world championship, but just the grind of trying to get back out there. There's nothing worse than sitting on the sidelines, watching your team play without you and watching someone else do their job. So that was by far the hardest. I think this year, there is some toughness too, trying to find a routine, a rhythm, get through that. But no, I don't think it's. Last year kind of stunk.
What you were able to do last year, what kind of things did you learn about yourself along that journey? Both good and bad, especially the postseason, but also having to sit and knowing what to do with your body.
I learned patience and trust. I'm not very easygoing in terms of being patient for, this is going to happen in 3 weeks. Well, tell me the day before. Don't tell me 3 weeks before. And the same thing with, the process of rehabbing and coming back from an injury. It's not fun, and you want to be out there on the field and not inside the walls. So, as an athlete, you prepare to play and to compete and to help your team win. And having, like I said, having other guys do that for you is not fun. But luckily where I'm sitting now, we're past that. That's in the rearview mirror, and we put in some good work this offseason to do some things to not only strengthen but get just a better foundation, not only with my body but my shoulder as well. So those are the things that we've done. That was obviously the start of the process in the offseason. Next step is obviously spring training, and then we're off to the races.
Chris, this is obviously your last year of your contract. Given what free agency has looked like the last 2 off seasons, with some of the best players and below value deals, or right now the 2 free agents still unsigned, how do you look at your approaching free agency? Is it with some excitement? Is there some anxiety given how little action there's been on other guys? Can it be a distraction? How do you plan to approach it?
The same way I always have. Teams where they're going to be, I have people in place with my agency to take care of all that. I've been very lucky throughout my career to never have to worry about that. I got drafted 3 years, or 2.5 years later, I signed an extension with Chicago. So I never really had that moment in time where it was an anxiety of free agency or this and that. I've always just kind of been under contract and just gone out there and played. So for me, that's just kind of the same thing I'm going to do. I can't worry about dollars and cents or years or contracts, all that other stuff, because I never have. And I think that's helped me be successful. I've never had to worry about the nuts and bolts. I just turn on the car and go, and that helps me. The less I have to worry about all the riffraff, the better off I am. All that's going to take care of itself. I just take it to the house.
Chris, would you like to stay in Boston?
I would love to. I think I've said that since after my first year. This is a special place. This is a special group of people, a very special city, and an unbelievable fan base. Not to mention the fact that we got a hell of a team, and we're going to have that team for a few years to come. So it's a good place for me. It's a good spot. I love playing here. I'd love to keep playing here. We'll see how it works out. That's what all this stuff is for. You have agents, contracts, all this stuff. I'm gonna let them play that out. And if it works, it works. If not, it's been a blast. I have no hard feelings, no ill will, and just keep doing what I do.
You told us last month that your phone was on. Has it rung?
No, it has not. It has not. Like I said, I don't have time to worry about that. We got another championship to go for, and that's where my head's at. That's where my head's always been at. And like I said, those are the things that I feel like personally have helped me be successful, is not worrying about any of that. I get the ball, I throw it until it's taken away from me, and then 4 days later, I do the same thing. So that's my plan.
But you have almost everybody back from last year, except for your closer.
Mm-hmm.
Any disappointment in that he's not with you and that right now they're trying to identify your closer?
Yeah, obviously, Craig's as good as it gets. He's the best reliever in baseball right now over the last, 8 years, 9 years, I think he's been. But at the same time, going forward, if he's not in the mix, I think, we have a handful of guys that can, lock down the ninth inning, and we have a lot of young guys that can step up as well. So I think, obviously, people like to make a big deal about it, but where we sit as players and our staff and our coaches, I think we're confident with the group we have going forward. Without the additions.
Your son just asked you about your situation. You just said bringing your mind has been the best reliever in the game for a long time.
Absolutely.
How surprised are you that he doesn't play? Right?
It's crazy to me. I don't want to get too far into it, with politics of baseball and all this stuff, but he's as good as it gets. He 100% makes any team better that he plays for, right? And it's crazy to think that there really hasn't been a whole lot of traction with him. I think, obviously, with half the league just showing up for checks doesn't help. Not trying to win, those kind of things. So then obviously your market kind of goes down a little bit. But, he's earned it, and you just like to see better from him, or for him, excuse me, because he's put in the time, he's put in the effort, and he's put it on the line. So it's time for someone to do that for him.
Chris, you guys have had you're one of a handful of guys that are in the last year of the contract. How do you think that's going to play in your clubhouse this year? How's it going to affect your season? Or what do you hope?
Not at all. I think, we have a very special group here. I think that obviously last year shows that. We have And we have a lot of faith and trust in each other. There's a lot of honesty in that clubhouse, good character, and I think that even if I did try to, even if I did start sliding towards that, someone would get me back on track. I don't see that happening because that's just not my style. But like I said, it's all going to work out in the end. I got a job to do, and contracts is not that. If I was an agent or a GM, yeah, but I'm a baseball player and I play baseball, so that's where my focus lies.
Chris, there's a lot of focus on your shoulder, obviously, but how's the belly button?
I appreciate you asking. All systems go. We're good. We're good to go. So.
Chris, is velocity something you'll be keeping an eye on this year? I know last year you kind of started out slow. It was like 93 in April, but you were still getting guys out. Then it jumped to 96 at fastball in May. Is that something you'll be keeping an eye on, or do you plan to do anything differently with that?
I don't really go too much on those kind of things. I go basically more on field, and just see where I'm at. I think with the slower progression, that's part of it. But at the end of the day, you do what it takes to get outs. It doesn't matter if you're throwing 81, 91, or 101. Getting outs is the name of the game, and getting quick outs is even better. So I think we're more focused on that more so than flashy numbers on a radar gun.
Chris, what's Alex Cora do for a clubhouse?
Excuse me?
What's Alex Cora do for a clubhouse?
I mean, wins championships. Back-to-back World Series champion. I think you talk to some of the Houston guys too, they'll have nothing but really, really good things to say about him. He makes it fun. He makes, he can light a fire underneath you, and he holds it down. I mean, he's an unbelievable leader. I think with any team that is great, they have to have a great leader, and there's no question that he's that. I think he does some unique things also throughout the year, some fun things, regardless of outcome, to keep it mixed up, to keep it light, and to have fun, because you can wake up on your third week in a row, just kind of doing the same thing over and over, and he can do some things to stir it up and have fun, and keep veteran guys locked down, and keep the rookies hungry, and the young guys in it, and game management. I mean, you just trust it.
Chris, how excited are you about this rotation?
I'm really excited. I'm actually really excited for two reasons. Obviously, having Nate for a full year is going to be really fun to watch, and I think we can expect some pretty awesome things out of Eddie this year too. On him a little bit more, I think it's nice that he's finally had a normal off season to be able to just be a pitcher, not have to rehab this or rehab that. He's running into some pretty tough luck. You can tell he had some drive this offseason. He looks better. Stuff's coming out really well, and he's been working on a new pitch as well that looks really good. So those are obviously the main things. But just as a whole, we got 5 guys that'll take the ball in any situation and put it all on the line. And I don't think that you would ever be able to question their motives or their drive or their competitiveness.
Chris, it's obviously been a long time since anybody repeated his champs. Alex Cora said he believes this group has what it takes. You've been here already for a few days with a lot of these guys, a lot of pitchers. What is it about this group that makes you confident they can do what other teams have not been able to do?
Kind of just what I've been talking about before, the trust in each other, the honesty, the transparency, and the drive. I mean, we got guys in there that are still hungry. You don't hang your hat on one. We go for another one. And I think with where we play, being in Boston, our fan base, they demand excellence, and we expect it as well from ourselves. And I think that's a huge factor in doing it again, is staying confident, staying hungry, and never settling. And I think that we have a group of guys, a coaching staff, training staff, everybody from top to bottom that believes in that and has the same goals in mind. Winning is number 1, 2, and 3 on the list. And I think it's pretty prevalent, and you can feel it when you're in that clubhouse.
Now that you played with David Price for some time, what's he like as a teammate?
He's awesome. You know, he's a great leader. And even through adversity, he stays the same with us. You know, and I think that's clutch for obviously a veteran guy, a leader in the clubhouse, and you know he flat out put us on his back in the postseason. That was fun to watch, especially with all the pressure that he had going into that. Just completely blew it out of the water. So we expect some pretty big things from him also.
Hey Chris, you were talking about patience. How's Pedroia was in there at the same time? How's he with the patience?
Man, I think he's still working on patience, but no, he's one of those guys you can never rule out. I dare you to rule him out actually, because you know, he's out to prove a point this year, and that's a scary thought. I mean, you take a perennial all-star, 3-time world champion, former MVP, and he wants more now. I think we're in for some pretty awesome stuff with him this year.
Because now that you're been part of the Boston sports scene, what do you think about this latest Patriots championship and parade?
It was actually really cool to think that the two major sports having a championship in the same year, or I guess same season anyways. It's awesome. I think obviously I watched their parade, and just for the fans. I mean that when you really get down to the to the core of it, without the fans we're nothing. If they don't show up, we don't have jobs, right? And for them to show up in abundance day in and day out, not only for us, but for every team in New England, it's awesome. And to be able to to celebrate with them is fun. We won the World Series obviously out in LA, celebrated that night, got on a plane, and then it was almost like it was a fresh start when we got back for the parade. I mean, you turn that corner and it was just a sea of people, and that's special. That's something that obviously I'll never forget, but something that can't be replicated. And I think we're very fortunate to have fans like that, supporting us.